Hey, this video is so late. I am sorry if you watched my non-spoiler review and I said I would get this up by Saturday. That obviously did not happen. I did watch this movie a few more times, and in the last time watching it, I just went ahead and took my notes as I was watching it, and I had to take a few more days of reflection. That's what happened. So hi and welcome back to They Love. If you are new here, my name is Destiny. I love to talk about movies and TV shows that I love, and hopefully you love them as well, or at least love listening to me. If this is your second, third, or even fourth video and you are still not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel because you know you love coming back here and watching these videos and discussing these things with me. And I am so excited because I'm covering the Snyder Cut. I do have one more video that's coming in a couple days after this one. I'm going to be doing weekly reviews for Falcon and Winter Soldier, as well as Invincible, and I'm even thinking of doing a video on Attack on Titan in all once the series finale comes out. So this is my full spoiler discussion, review, analyst, geeking out over the Snyder Cut. Spoilers all over this video, and I was having such a hard time thinking how to organize this video, so that's why I sat and watched the movie and wrote out my notes in order, because I was going to go by character, but I kept on going off on tangents. So I'm really just going to go through the movie in order and go through my favorite scenes, the most meaningful moments, and then kind of go into the character. It's not going to be talking about every single scene, but it's a lot because a lot of this movie is just so great, or it just has something that I just want to discuss or highlight or anything like that. But before I get into this discussion about the Snyder Cut, there is something I want to address first before we get into geeking out about this. So like I said in my non-spoiler review, I feel like every scene that is in the Josstice League, 2017 version of the film, that was kind of okay or had a good moment was really a Snyder scene. And it's just so crazy because those scenes in this movie are so great because they're given more time to breathe, they're shot differently, they're edited differently. And that's why I think it's it would be fascinating to study this, both this film and the Josstice League on a filmmaking level, because it's so vastly different. And a lot of people are noting, okay, why'd they take that out? Why'd they change that? Why'd they take that out? What is happening? Why? A lot of people are, noting on what they took out, which is, makes sense. But what I find extra fascinating are the scenes in Josstice League that were Snyder scenes and actually made worse. So before I get into the full spoiler discussion, I want to actually just list those scenes. And again, these are the scenes that I consider the only good scenes in Josstice League because they were the ones that Snyder shot. Or they were good scenes in the Snyder Cut and they were messed up by Whedon. And this is why I will never consider the Josstice League a good movie, and why I'm not going to get into a discourse with Josstice League defenders. And after this, I don't want to talk about Josstice League anymore because I just want to move on to greener pastures. So here's the list. And by the way, this is just from my memory and from what some people have pointed out on Twitter, because I did not rewatch Josstice League. So here's the scenes. I have my notes here. By the way, I have so many notes. This is going to be a long video, by the way. Grab a snack, get some water, stay hydrated. I have no clue how long this video is going to be. But I'm looking over my notes if you see me looking to the side or down or whatever. So here's the scenes. You have Bruce meeting Arthur for the first time, but that was shortened, of course. The Wonder Woman hostage situation shortened and just made less awesome. The Amazons and Steppenwolf was another scene that was shortened and also made the Amazons kind of look incompetent in the Josstice League. Arthur saving that fisherman, that scene was shortened as well. In Snyder Cut, he also makes a comment about the fisherman not respecting the storm, and that's why he also owes them a drink. But that comment was taken out. Barry meeting Bruce for the first time, and another establishing shot was a butt shot of Diana, but that's not in the Snyder Cut. Instead, the establishing shot is Bruce. You have Commissioner Gordon meeting the Justice League for the first time. rescuing the hostages from Steppenwolf. The I belong to no one that's in the Snyder Cut was actually replaced with the cleavage choke in Justice League. You have the grave digging scene, Superman fighting the Justice League once he's resurrected. And of course you have the final big action sequence, but it's so different in Justice League because it's just toned down and the VFX is completely different. It looks so gross in Justice League. So, but those are the list of scenes that were either Snyder scenes in Justice League, or they were Snyder scenes in Justice League that were made worse. So, and again, those are the reasons why I don't like Justice League, because the only good things were the Snyder scenes. So I don't know what was the point of Justice League. But now, moving on. I may do this video a bit differently just so I can showcase all these amazing moments and photos that I have saved. So I think I may put myself in the corner or something so you can really see what I'm talking about. But we're gonna go again part by part. So I'm starting with the prologue all the way into the epilogue, just so you know. And again, I'm not highlighting every single scene. It is a lot though, because I'm highlighting everything I like and character moments, and it's a lot. But I hope you enjoy it. I hope you got a snack, again, like I said, and some water. Now, the prologue. We have the opening scene with Doomsday killing Superman that slowed down. I think this is absolutely a beautiful scene. Beautiful and tragic at the same time. It's a long dramatic take, and it brings to mind, you know, the bell has rung, the god is dead, which is Superman that Luthor was talking about at the end of VVS. But yeah, the bell has rung, and so when Superman is crying out, I love seeing the sound waves from him crying out and seeing how everyone can see the effects that the mother boxes are awakening. Like we see Cyborg, we see Atlantis, the Mascara, so they're all seeing that the mother boxes are awakening because Superman is dead. And by the way, I have to note the music. I had to note it here just so I don't forget, but the music on this entire movie is so amazing. I already have the entire soundtrack. It's just everything. It's just so beautiful. So beautiful. Beautiful music, beautiful visuals. Great. Now into part one. Don't Count on It, Batman. So we have Batman meeting Aquaman, and I love that in most, I think all of the parts have any of the characters saying like the name of the part, or with beloved mother, beloved son, that was in reference to the graves of, you know, Victor and his mom, Dr. Stone. So even though it's not said, the name of the title of each part is referenced in some way. But yeah, with Arthur meeting Bruce, and I like that Arthur just really wants to be left alone by anyone contacting him. Like, he doesn't want to be a hero for anyone, even though he is doing heroic acts already. He probably doesn't think of it that way, but he wants to be left alone by the Atlanteans. So of course he's gonna say no once Bruce comes to him talking about the Justice League, and especially when he doesn't know him. I have to say, Bruce is so stylish in this movie. He looks so good. Ben Affleck looks so good in this entire movie. I just have to note that because right after there's a scene of him leaving a helicopter and meeting Alfred. Honestly, both Bruce and Alfred look great. But next, I did want to note, because I was so mad I didn't see this the first time, but Zack Snyder actually had a cameo. It was like an Alfred Hitchcock style cameo where he was in the background, and it was a scene of Lois getting coffee. I was so mad I didn't catch that the first time, but I thought that was great. But of course, this is like an establishing scene to show that Lois is still grieving over Clark's death, obviously, and she is still visiting the monument that was actually destroyed by Doomsday. Honestly, so many aspects of Zack Snyder's Justice League is so heartbreaking. Like, it's so uplifting and hopeful, but at the same time, so many other aspects are just heartbreaking and so tragic, you know? So I love the duality of that and the themes of the movie. Now, another sequence that I really liked was the Wonder Woman hostage situation. By the way, I actually really love the violence. It's weird to say. I just like that it was a realistic violence. It wasn't too, to me, it wasn't too much. It wasn't too grotesque. It really was violence that was, you know, established that this is the kind of violence that we need to respond to the type of people we're responding to. But to me, it wasn't too much for any of the characters. I love that Diana did not try to even negotiate with anyone, especially because there is a bomb in the situation. Again, the music for Wonder Woman is so great. She has like her action kind of music, but she also has another music that plays every time that she even walks around, where it's like a vocalization. It's so great. I don't know why I found that so hilarious, but it was so awesome at the same time. But yeah, everything about this whole sequence with the hostages was wonderful. The slow motion when she sped up, the hair, even when she drops back down from, you know, the bomb, and she kind of like side eyes the shooter. Fantastic. Gal Gadot is so amazing. She's so amazing as Diana. She's so amazing in the physicality of the role. Even when she kind of like lines up for the iconic, you know, X, like crossing out the arms. Fantastic. And even though I knew this would happen just from the trailers and teasers, the interaction with the little girl really touched my heart. Like when she asked her, because she was the only one who didn't stand up, and she asked her, are you okay, princess? And the fact she called her a princess, and the girl asked, can I be like you someday? And she says, you can be anything you want to be. Oh my, like, it's so weird that didn't surprise me, but that actually really, that made me misty-eyed. I mean, a little misty-eyed. I actually cried during this movie. I hope I don't cry during this review, like revisiting these emotions. But that was great. That whole sequence was amazing. And another scene that I really truly loved during this movie is the Amazons versus Steppenwolf. I feel like the Amazons are just treated with so much more respect here. They're not like, you know, cannon fodder or like stormtroopers where they just kind of die. You don't feel anything. Sorry, stormtroopers. But it's honestly not surprising. This is the same man that directed 300. Who's surprised? But it's a exhilarating sequence. I love this entire sequence. And even the when Hippolyta was saying, show him your fear, we have no fear. Oh my god, it's so great, so awesome. So awesome. And here I like that they're not only sealing the cave, but they're also going down with it in hopes that it would take Steppenwolf out, even though it didn't. But I don't know. Here, I just felt their sacrifices more. Another sequence that just broke my heart because they were true warriors. Like, again, I didn't feel like cannon fodder. And another thing I want to note, they are like more, I guess, skimpily clad than I think Wonder Woman's her solo film, but I think with the way it's shot, but it doesn't feel objectifying. It just feels like they're showing off their amazing abs. Like, seriously. By the way, I love the amount of actual muscular women and not just softly toned women in the Amazons. I thought that was fantastic. And again, like, I truly felt everyone's sacrifice, from the people in the cave to the last two women who held up the wall to even the warrior who was crushed by the horse. Beautiful and tragic at the same time. And I do want to point out that I think the reason why the pacing is so well done on this movie, that's why I was so surprised. I mean, some people had to break up this movie because they didn't have time to sit for 4 hours, but even if you do have time to sit for 4 hours, the pacing is so perfect, and each chapter, each part ends on such a great note. Part 1 ends on talking about lighting the ancient fire to let men know that, you know, an invasion is coming. And one of the Amazons says it's been 5,000 years. Men won't know what it means. And Hippolyta says, men won't, she will. And that's the note that it ends on. Great. Great, great, great. Because it makes you want to go into the next part. Like, every ending makes you want to go into the next. There's no, like, ending that I think, okay, this is great to stop. No. Maybe it's my curiosity, but every ending, I wanted to continue. I never wanted to stop. Now we have part 2, which is the Age of Heroes. And here I think Bruce Wayne's guilt about Superman when he's talking to Alfred, saying that he made a promise to him on his grave, because Alfred is questioning, okay, why are you doing this? We can't rely on Lex Luthor, which is a good point. But I think Bruce Wayne's entire arc about guilt and redemption so wonderful. I like his whole character arc from Batman v Superman to where he is now, and having faith and the Justice League and this team that he creates. So great. By the way, I have to note, whenever the Superman theme plays, I just feel so giddy. I love that music. If you saw my video on Man of Steel and why I think it's pretty fantastic, you know I love the music. And just with a few notes, whenever someone is even talking about Clark or thinking about him or talking about Superman, just a few notes of his theme will play, and I just think it's so beautiful. It just brings a smile to my face, even though he's not on screen yet. Another scene I really want to talk about and what I really want to know is that I couldn't really talk much about Aquaman in my non-spoiler review because I didn't really want to give anything away. And by the way, I meant to note, like, even though in my non-spoiler review I ranked my favorite characters and that's how I kind of organized that, I love everyone in the Justice League. I love everyone. Everyone has a great moment, everyone has a great arc, but some things I just did not want to talk about because I just want you, if you had not seen the movie at that point, to go in really fresh. So now I can talk about everything I want in this video. With Arthur, I really liked the scene of him saving the fisherman. I think the cinematography was amazing. I like that when he brought the guy into the bar, he really slammed him down on the table. I was wondering, why did you slam him down like that? He's been through a lot. But when he said, tell him to respect the storms, respect the waters, and that's why he said, oh, the drink's on him, I'm like, okay, I kind of understand. But I just like Arthur's, it's very interesting. I like Arthur's kind of detachment from the world, but of course it can't stay that way. He can't, live in between forever, which leads me into another thing when he talks to, oh my gosh, I forgot the name. Volca? I think the name is Volca. But oh yeah, by the way, at first I did not like the whole let's create an air pocket to talk underwater even though we live and breathe underwater. But it looks so amazing and the aesthetic is so great that, I'm over it. I like it. But I like that when Volca confronts Arthur and he's talking about, his responsibilities to the Atlanteans and, that he's the firstborn son, all that. I like this one line that he said, and again, I'm so glad I've watched this movie several times to take note of this because I didn't really notice it the first time I watched. But one thing he says to Arthur is you can't turn your back on the world forever, above or below. And I really like that because I feel like Arthur as a character is adrift. He doesn't really live with the humans, even though he helps out once in a while, and he doesn't want to take up his mantle as king. He doesn't want to join the Justice League. So it's such a simple line, but I really like that it's exemplifying that he's of two worlds, but he doesn't have to be just loyal to one or the other, but that doesn't mean he can stay adrift in between forever. So simple with that one line, but so great. And in the next scene, in part 2 of the Age of Heroes, this is where we get what people have been calling the history lesson. This is why people have been calling this whole part the history lesson. This is where Diana tells Bruce of the past almost invasion that happened on Earth so long ago, and she's talking about the Earth's defenders from before, which is armies of men, the Amazons, Atlanteans, the old gods, guardians of the stars, which I assume was Green Lanterns, even though you really only saw one Green Lantern in that sequence. And I love it's called the Golden Age of Heroes. That's where the name is dropped. And yeah, they really emphasize that it was, of course, all these people, all these different kinds of people coming together that defeated Darkseid. Not divided but united. Love it so much. And another thing I wanted to know, I love that it shows that Diana has the best genes possible with both Zeus and Hippolyta. Oh my gosh, I don't know why that's so funny. But the ending point for part 2 is an exchange between Bruce and Diana. And Diana says they said that the Age of Heroes will never come again. And Bruce says, no, it will. It has to. And that's when Diana responds, the others, where are they? And that's when that part ends. Again, another great ending point that makes you want to go into the next part, because you assume, which will happen, that you'll see the, Arthur, Barry, Victor. So great ending point. Again, great pacing. Okay, now part 3 is titled Beloved Mother, Beloved Son. And this scene opens with Barry Allen. This is the first scene with Barry Allen, and it just cements my love for Barry Allen and why I said that The Flash is my favorite character in this movie overall.
but also something that happens in part 6, but I'll say that till then. But this part opens with Barry Allen going into an interview. So this scene opens with Barry Allen going for an interview, and as he's going into the shop, Iris West is actually leaving. By the way, this is what I meant when Iris West, this is her only scene, but I love it so much. I love this exchange. I love when Barry and Iris exchange glances. It's so great, and you can kind of see that Iris like forgot what she was doing for a moment. I love that whole meeting / not meeting, because all they did was look at each other, and that's it. And I love Ezra Miller in this. I love Barry's kind of nervous energy when he's talking to the interviewer. And I think it's such a good establishing scene for Barry, because it establishes both his character and personality with how he acts, how he moves, how he talks, but also showcasing his powers when he helps Iris. When by the way, why is that truck driver, are you serious? You are driving a huge truck and you want to reach down and grab your burger and keep driving in a busy city setting. Craziness. But yeah, I think it was a good scene to establish the Flash's powers, and also to establish that anytime the Flash moves, it's just beautiful, just art. I want it on my wall. It's just so beautiful, so magnificent. And also, when he grabbed that hot dog, I thought it was gonna be some weird joke, but I love that he grabbed the hot dog so later on he could like he did that to convince the interviewer to give him the job. Like, oh, I always carry a meat snack with me so that when anything crazy happens in this city, I can calm down the dogs. And, oh yeah, I can start on Monday, right? It was great. I love Barry. Just that one scene, his first scene in the movie. I love Barry. And by the way, we have a short scene where Bruce and Diana are talking about, I guess they're candidates for the Justice League, Arthur, Victor, and Barry. But I just want to say, I definitely ship Bruce and Diana. I'm pretty sure everyone is shipping them, Bruce and Diana, but I would never have believed it before watching this movie. But it's so clear. It's so clear. And after we get Barry's establishing scene, we also get an establishing scene for Victor Stone that's absolutely fantastic, where he has his football game that's beautifully shot, but it's also juxtaposed with the principal telling his mother about him hacking to the system to help with another student's grades. By the way, I love how his mother corrects the principal when he says like Mrs. Stone and she says Dr. Stone. Oh, that just the way she said Dr. Stone, I'm like, yes. That was just that one. I think that was her first line in the movie. That one line of delivery was so perfect. But yeah, I like that this scene establishes that he has a good heart, because he was hacking into the system to help another student's grades, but that student, recently had a death in the family. So of course, which his mom points out is like, you weren't doing anything to help her, so why wouldn't Victor help her? And I liked that it established that he made the system work for someone that the system was working against. And it's especially clever in another scene later on that I'm going to talk about. I'm really trying to stay in order so I don't go off on tangents. But in the next scene, where they're in the car after Victor's father did not show up to the football game, and his mother did, who is also a doctor, Victor points out that his dad never comes to see his football games, and you are also a doctor. You have a busy job, but you always make time for me. And Ray Fisher is so amazing as Cyborg. Again, like, there were so many moments I just didn't want to give away in my non-spoiler review, because I'm like, you have to experience this as you're watching it. But Ray Fisher is just so amazing as Victor Stone. It's such a genuine emotional moment with his mother, where he's really wondering why doesn't his dad support him. It's so heartbreaking, and it's even more heartbreaking once they get in the car accident, and that's when his mother dies. And even though that's right before, his mother was saying how proud she was of him. Oh, so heartbreaking. I'll talk about this more later, but Dr. Silas Stone, played by Joe Morton. Joe Morton breaks my heart this entire movie. I'll talk about it more later, but I just wanted to establish that here before I go on. We are exploring Cyborg's powers, and I love that. I think making his powers work this way is so clever.
Silas Stone says, he's basically a master of one and zeros now. He has access to nuclear codes and systems. He has access basically to anything that he wants, and he now has the power to decide, will he use his power? Will he use his power, or will he not? What will he do with it? And also, by the way, I love anyone's first flight. Well, this is where we have Cyborg's first flight scene, and it's so wonderful. I love his smile. Ray Fisher did such an amazing job. I love his smile once he takes off, and it's so genuine and so pure hearted, and it leads into one of the first things that he does with his powers is to help a woman, a single mom who's really struggling. And it's, again, like I said, a callback to him helping his classmate, and it establishes that because of his good heart, he's genuinely a good person. He probably is the only person who should have this power or could have this power. It's so wonderful. And I just like making Cyborg's powers like this because it's so intelligent. It's basically making him like kind of like a digital god, like in comparison to like, you know, the Olympians, like making Justice League like the new Olympians. I guess it would be more like American Gods. I have not read that or even seen the show, but I think the American Gods are like, you know, modern gods, right? So, you know, making him like a modern digital god, I thought was great. And another scene I wanted to point out was Barry and his father. I love all of the father-son relationships explored here. You have Barry and his dad, you have Victor and Silas, you have even later on kind of Clark and like both his dads, you know, Jonathan and Clark and Jor-El. And this, why is every scene like so beautiful but heartbreaking at the same time? Because in this scene with Barry and his father, who's in jail, his father basically tells him to stop running in place, like stop making everything you know, around me, or you're to focus on me, who I'm not going anywhere, I'm stuck here. And he calls them the absolute best of the best and says you're living in the past, make your own future, which will come up later. But I thought it was so sad how Barry responded, because of course he doesn't want to leave his dad in jail for a crime that he knows he did not commit. But I think his dad has a good point of saying like you can't run in place forever, which is ironic because of who he is. Another scene I love was Barry meeting Bruce for the first time. I love the realization, like that moment of realization on Barry's face when he realizes like, oh, this person's the Batman. And even the I'm rich line, I really like the I'm rich line because it kind of relates back to Cyborg, because like, you know, Bruce, he's rich, but he uses his money wisely with a purpose. Like the way he uses his money actually is kind of a power, because if you didn't have Bruce's money or even his intelligence, you wouldn't use it in the same way. So I think that's similar to how Cyborg uses his own powers and chooses to use his powers for good. I just love this synergy. I love the synergy that's happening here. By the way, why do I feel like Barry is me? I feel like I would interact this way with people. Like when the bat signal came on, it's like, oh, you're Batman. Oh wait, that's a secret. Barry, love you so much. But the ending point for part 3, Beloved Mother, Beloved Son, is Steppenwolf, you know, saying that he's gonna interrogate the prisoners and like rip the answers from them. Again, a good ending point to go into part 4 and make it even more serious that we have to save the hostages. Now we have part 4 called Change Machine. One small thing I want to note, but I really liked it, especially, you know, rewatching this movie several times. But I love the way Diana smiles at Victor when he shows up to when Gordon meets up with the Justice League for the first time. I don't know, I just love that small smile because it's like a kind of a proud smile, but oh, I knew you were gonna come, or you know, like, or you're accepting your gifts. It was just such a small moment, but so great. I love how I connect with all the emotional moments in this movie, whether it's sad or happy. And another beautiful moment we have, just, you know, visually of course, is when Aquaman shows up, and for the first time, because you have, you know, the Justice League already together. That's Batman, Diana, Victor, Flash, you know, Barry, and they're saving the hostages. But I love this moment where Aquaman shows up at the last moment because Steppenwolf leaves and they realize they're under the harbor. And later on, I think it's interesting that Steppenwolf, he finds out that Earth is the primitive world that fought back. It has the anti-life equation. because I didn't realize at first. I mean, watching this movie the first time, I'm like, oh, you didn't realize that Earth was the world that fought back against you? Did you not take note of it? You did not take note of like the location? You were just, I guess, too injured to think about it? I don't know. But the anti-life equation, if you don't know, is basically like a formula equation that is said to allow those who know it to dominate the will of any race, any like being, any humans, take away their free will. So that's what Darkseid is always after. And this is also where Darkseid shows up for the first time, at least in this timeline. Like, we see a flashback of him, but he shows up to say, okay, when you conquer this world, Steppenwolf, then I will come and get the anti-life equation, and then I'll forgive you. Now, the next scene I wanted to note was very important, because I like that this is kind of the first Justice League meeting, and this is where Victor establishes how the Mother Box works, and how his own origin and how he came to be, and calls them change machines. That's where the title comes in. And I really like the explanation of the Mother Box and how it reinstates matter, and how they gave a couple examples. And I don't know why, because I love Barry Allen, I love the Flash, but sometimes maybe at least in this iteration of him, I really forget that he's a scientist. So even when he jumped in with his thoughts on everything, I love how they went around the table and slowly start to realize that it reinstates matter. So that means, like, you have the particles of a house that catches on fire, they still turn into particles, but particles of smoke. So nothing is really created or destroyed. So it was a great scene, because they slowly all caught on, and they realized that we can maybe bring Superman back. And the Superman theme plays, and then you have a little animation of Superman. Now, this next scene I want to take note of is between Lois and Martha Kent. And I love their entire conversation about Clark and their grief of Clark, but also being in a world that grieves Superman, but they can't talk about, their grief of actually knowing the person who Superman was. And I love that Martha tells Lois to come back to living. And what's so amazing about this whole scene was the first time I watched it, I had no idea it's revealed to be Martian Manhunter, and I didn't expect it at all. I didn't expect it until he went out to the hallway, had the red eyes, and like transformed, and then transformed into his human forms. And I was so shocked. And he says, the world needs you too, Lois. I think that's great. I think people underestimate Lois. I feel like people underestimate Lois just as like her own person, and not just, oh, Lois is important to Clark as well. But I thought this part 4, had a great ending point, because this is where they officially, Justice League, decide to bring Superman back to life. And I love how adamant Bruce is, because he has his own arc going on with redemption and guilt over Superman's death in the first place. But I also really like that of all people, it's Aquaman that is very reluctant compared to everyone else. And that's what I was talking about in my non-spoiler review. I like his morality, I like his moral code, and maybe he also kind of sympathizes in a way where Aquaman himself wants to be left alone from the world, especially from Atlanteans, and maybe he is thinking that maybe Clark just wants to be left at peace. Maybe he doesn't want to be brought back to life. Not only that, but to be brought back into another battle. So I thought that was really fascinating for Aquaman's character, for him to be the one who's reluctant of everyone to bring back Superman. And part 5 is called All the King's Horses, and this part starts with digging up Clark's body. And I thought it was so sweet, the small thing, but I thought it was so sweet when Barry said he was my hero. When they're talking about Superman, it's him and Victor that's digging up Clark's body, and then Aquaman and Diana are in the background. But it's also juxtaposed with a scene of Bruce talking to Alfred, and I think it's great that Bruce has said he's operating on faith, not on reason. Again, I love this whole character arc from where he was in BVS to where he is now. And I thought it was a really smart foreshadowing when Alfred says, all the king's horses, all the king's men, but he can't finish what he's trying to say because Bruce then says something. And I didn't know what rhyme that actually came from, that, but that actually is from Humpty Dumpty. I'm like, really? Humpty Dumpty? But usually that rhyme finishes, they couldn't put Humpty back together again. So I think that's great foreshadowing for later, because, they bring Superman back to life, but obviously when he comes back, he is just not all there. He's not all there at first.
And I didn't realize, I really did not know that was Humpty Dumpty. Wow. And now this is where we get into breaking into Star Labs. I think this entire sequence was fantastic, but this is also where Joe Morton as Silas Stone starts to break my heart. Just break my heart. Because when the Justice League enters Star Labs and Dr. Stone turns to see them entering, led by his son Victor, the look on his face, I feel like it wasn't just shock but also pride, because I feel like as a character, as a father, he really struggled with wanting to save his son's life, but at the same time, did he do the right thing by turning him into Cyborg, and constantly wondering, did I do the right thing, and encouraging Victor to go out and live the life your mom wanted. And I just felt like in that moment I could feel through Joe Morton's acting, that's why I'm saying he broke my heart, but I could feel that that was the moment that he knew that he not only saved his son's life, but he's also thriving. Like he did the right thing. I feel like that was the moment where he knew that he did the right thing. Yeah, that was just heartbreaking. It was a great moment, but it's heartbreaking because of what happens later. And before we get back to Star Lab sequence, I do think it's interesting. This is the moment that Lois Lane decides to return to work, and she grabs her badge. And everyone saw the pregnancy test, right? I saw it on my first watch, actually, and I'm like, okay, wow, you're pregnant. I'm like, this is why these things need to continue. This is why we're saying restore to Snyderverse, because what is going on there? But back to bringing Superman back to life, we have Cyborg's vision, which I'm going to talk about, I think, more in my next video that I mentioned. But I love that Cyborg has this vision while the ship is constantly warning him, don't do this, it's irreversible, don't do this, don't bring Superman back to life, at least not with the mother box. I kind of love it because it brought that feeling of dread into the scene. And I thought this whole vision was absolutely insane. Because you have Darkseid on his throne, you see Wonder Woman's dead body with the coins on her eyes, you see Darkseid killing Aquaman, you see him standing over Superman, and Superman is holding Lois Lane's dead body. I'm also assuming that Lois Lane is pregnant at that time. Oh wow. And then after Cyborg comes out of the vision, he says no, but Barry hears it as go, so he goes to activate the mother box. And again, another beautiful sequence of Flash and him kind of slightly reversing time to activate the mother box, which is another foreshadow for later. And after Superman is brought back to life, we get the scene of Superman fighting the Justice League. And I will never get over the moment of Superman seeing Barry run around him, and when Barry realizes that, oh my god, he's looking at me, how can he look at me? Oh, that was great. And I feel like out of everyone in the Justice League in this whole sequence, I feel like Diana was really the only one to give Superman a kind of a challenge. And I mean, Cyborg kind of did, but he was also saving people, so it was mostly Diana. And then it also led to that moment between Arthur and Barry, when, since Superman is as fast as Barry, he kind of pushed Barry out of the way, pushed Barry into Arthur, and then that led to that amazing moment between them. But this is the heartbreaking moment that I was talking about earlier, where Silas sacrifices himself to mark the stone, to track it, like to make it the hottest thing on Earth. So something that hot would like blip off the radar, so then you can see where it is. So basically to track it. Yeah, so this whole scene, that's why I was saying it was so heartbreaking, because earlier when he sees that his son is with the Justice League and seeming to lead them into Star Labs, and it's just for him to sacrifice himself and knowing that he didn't make the wrong decision in saving his son, so it led to him sacrificing himself to mark the stone, and that Victor saw his dad die at that moment. Yeah, it's just, this whole moment it's very heartbreaking, because you learn later that the reason he sacrificed himself is to mark the stone, to be able to track it. And it makes that earlier moment more heartbreaking, because that's the moment where he sees that he made the right decision for his son, and that he knows his son will be able to solve this.
And again, it was awful having to see Victor see his dad die when they had such a rough relationship. Okay, I was really trying not to cry, but that really broke my heart. That really broke my heart. Okay, and after, I really like that the friendship between Victor and Barry is already forming, because Barry is actually the first one to check on Victor, and it makes me even more sad that he won't be in the Flash movie, because it just feels like it's not going to be complete without him. Okay, I had to take a short break. Yeah, okay, let's go into part 6. So part 6 is called Something Darker. And this starts with, well, the first thing I want to note with part 6 is Clark's reunion with both Lois and his mom. It's so sweet, so heartwarming. And Clark has this beautiful moment with Yellow Butterfly. And butterflies in general symbolize, hope and transformation, but yellow butterflies also symbolize hope, energy, optimism, and they're usually like a symbol of new life. So it's like a direct, symbol to Clark, coming into his new life, like his rebirth. And since it's like hope and optimism, it's just a great scene. Very, again, like I said, heartwarming. I want to say, I really like the themes of this entire movie, of where you have sacrifice and hope, themes of redemption, themes of faith, because I think they're explored well with every character. Like you have Victor's dad sacrificing himself, the hope that the Justice League can live on, redemption for Bruce, Bruce also having faith. I like how everything is explored in different ways. Next thing I wanted to talk about was Clark rediscovering himself, walking through the ship, and with voiceover of Jor-El and Jonathan, again, both his fathers. And one thing I wanted to note that I didn't really like was that I didn't like that the black suit here wasn't like the actual Kryptonian healing suit that it's supposed to be. It's actually not supposed to have a cape, but at the same time I kind of understand, because I think, was it Zack Snyder who said this? But they said that someone said that, I think it was Zack Snyder, that they didn't want it to be the black suit, so it was actually the whole time the blue and red suit, and they did color correction to make it the black suit. That's why it still has a cape and everything. And I think it was the studio, of course, the studio executives who didn't want it to be, for him to be in the iconic black suit. Like, this is the only time he would have been in the black suit, because it's a healing suit, because it like soaks up the sun. And, oh my god, I can't even. Okay, so it's like, yeah, I don't like that it's not the typical healing suit, but I also understand I would rather it be a color corrected suit than not have anything. And by the way, I want to know, isn't it fantastic that Barry uses like yoga and meditation to focus? I think this was actually Ezra Miller's idea, but I thought that was great before it goes into the final action sequence. And I have to be honest, with this final action sequence, I don't care how many times I've seen it, this is like the most difficult part to take notes, because I was just watching so closely. Even though I'm a fast typer, I didn't even, sometimes I'm like, oh, I just forgot to take notes on something. So this entire sequence, like the final action sequence before the conclusion of the film, is so wonderful. First, you have Batman fighting off parademons before the Justice League join him, which leads to this amazing shot. Iconic, instantly iconic. I think anyone who watched this movie and saw that, they all went crazy. I love that Snyder Cut came out, and I feel like it's because of HBO Max that we have this, because in any other way, like, how would we get this movie, But I would have loved to be in the theater when that happened. It would have been so wonderful. Oh yeah, and I forgot to note before, I don't know why when Arthur showed up, but I do love that he's using his mother's trident, showing that he's accepting himself more, at least, his heritage. I thought that's great. And the whole fight between Diana, Victor, and Arthur versus Steppenwolf. And another moment that I really love with Diana is when she calls Steppenwolf a liar, when he says that her sisters and even her mother begged for their life. But I love that the way she says it is not in disbelief, like, oh my gosh, they're dead. Like, she really knows that they would not even beg for their lives. She knows, like, the whole, we have no fear, they would not be begging for their life. That was just, again, another great character moment for Diana. It was so small, but I noted it. I made a note of it. I actually typed it down, so it like left an impression on me. Another great moment. Again, another moment that makes me again want to watch this in the theater is when Superman shows up and he says not impressed, and he has like the ice breath or cold breath, so he breaks Steppenwolf's axe. And I didn't note this the first time I watched this movie, but the second or third time I noted I really love Clark's arc as well. Like, I know he's of the Justice League, he has the least amount of time, but I love his character arc because I feel like the Clark from even like the end of Man of Steel would not have been able to beat down Steppenwolf. You know what I mean? Like, he was really struggling in Man of Steel. He was struggling against like Feora, Zod. By the way, who else felt it when Barry got the wind knocked out of him? Oh my gosh, having the wind knocked out of you like that is so painful. And again, I know he's the Flash, so he has like accelerated healing, but I did not think his healing was that rapid. I mean, I guess maybe if he focuses all his energy on healing, but I wasn't thinking about that. Now, next, what I really want to take a few moments to talk about is Barry reversing time. This is my favorite scene in the movie. And I don't say that like as a small thing, because overall I don't know, it may take me some time. If you guys want, I can maybe do a video later of me ranking my favorite scenes, maybe like my top 10, because it's a lot, but I don't think I will be able to rank them like definitively right now. But I know this is my favorite scene. Barry reversing time is so amazing. It's so amazing. Visually, the music, it's a great character moment for Barry. Wow. And again, it's great foreshadowing from before. Another thing I didn't know, but because he said he didn't like to break this rule of going beyond the speed of light. And I also like how fast Ezra Miller speaks at this point, where he's saying, okay, you had to break this rule, you had to break it now, you had to go now. Oh, great. Well, I love like when he's running, you can see everything forming again. And I just thought it was so amazing. I thought it was so amazing. This is another moment that really touched my heart when he's saying, Dad, whatever happens, I want you to know your kid was one of them, one of the best of the best. And he's saying, make your own future, make your own past. And I don't want to cry again, but this moment really touched my heart. It was so great. A callback from before, and character development for Barry. It was beautiful in every aspect, like literally, figuratively. This is why it's my favorite scene. Like, even if I do like that video, again, let me know. I already know that this is going to be number one, so I guess I spoiled it for you if you want me to make that video. But this, wow, it blew my mind. And another great character scene was for Victor, where when he finally goes into the Unity, and they actually call him my broken boy, because the three mother boxes have actually taken the form of him and his father and his mother, and they're saying, okay, we can make you whole again, tempting him like Diana said. And of course, again, I knew Cyborg's Victor would say this because it was in some of the teasers. But when he says, I'm not broken and I'm not alone, and the wormhole opens and you see the Justice League, and then when he finally fights back against the mother boxes and he calls out for Superman to help him actually separate the boxes. Oh, it's such a great moment. I will always remember, I'm not broken and I'm not alone. Wonderful. And by the way, Steppenwolf had I just want to note that Steppenwolf had a gruesome death because he was stabbed by Arthur's trident, he was punched by Clark, and that's not a soft punch, and then he was just straight up decapitated by Diana. And then he goes through a wormhole where Darkseid is watching, and it's just, oh God, Steppenwolf. It's so funny how so many people just felt so bad for Steppenwolf because he just wants redemption from Darkseid and everything. But by the way, decide. Shut up. Who looks at Darkseid and says, oh, I told you so. I knew he wasn't gonna do it. I knew he would never make it. I'm like, decide. I feel like you think you have too much power. Really. At that moment, Darkseid decided, maybe I won't challenge you now. I won't do anything now. This is why we need to restore the Snyderverse, because I want to see what will happen later. But it was great, and then it leads into the sweeping shot of the Justice League all standing together with the hopeful, uplifting music in the background. It's like the closing shot. Honestly, I would have clapped in the movie theater if we actually went to the movie theater for this. This would have been the moment where everyone clapped. And now the epilogue, the last part, and it's called A Father Twice Over. Victor finally goes back to listen to the rest of his father's tape that he left him. And in the tape, his father says that he's basically a father twice over. And because he gave him his first birth as a baby, and now he created him again. So that's what he means by that. And I thought this whole tape was beautiful because it also Joe Morton's voiceover is over some other shots in the movie, but he's saying to Victor, take your place among the brave ones, stand, fight, discover, heal, love. And as this is playing, you see Arthur. Another very sweet thing, he's now motivated to visit his father, maybe after seeing what happened to Victor and his father. You have Ryan Choi, who's taking over Star Labs, and there's a little hint there because he says he's director of nanotechnology. The old Wayne Manor is gonna, I guess, be made into a meeting place for Justice League, and there's gonna be a big round table like the Knights of Arthur, with room for more. So hopefully we see some more Justice League members like the Green Lantern. And I love the moment with Barry telling his dad that he got a job in the actual crime lab. It's a job. He has his foot in the door, which is always so great. And another thing, I love even though this isn't a moment of flight, maybe for Flash it is, but Flash's smile when he's running and he puts his arm back. Oh, so great, so amazing. I love this whole sequence with the voiceover and showing these different things of the Justice League. So we have one thing again. This is why we need to restore the Snyderverse, because they show Luthor meeting Deadshot, and Luthor tells Deadshot that Batman is Bruce Wayne. And I'm like, we need to explore this. So we need to do something with this. There's so many possibilities here with Deadshot. We can't leave this stone unturned. That's basically what we can't leave the stone unturned. And the final, actually there's two more things. So the nightmare sequence, so we have the Nightmare Crew, which turns out to be Batman, Cyborg, Flash, Mira, Deadshot, and the Joker. But this whole scene was really just made for Batman and the Joker. Their entire exchange, their conversation, was perfect to me, honestly. I think Joker's laugh was creepy and disgusting, but perfect for the Joker. Jared Leto, you did such a good job with this. Such a good job. But I like the conversation. I like that the conversation seems like it would be something between colleagues, even though it's very reluctant colleagues. And when Joker says that Batman knows what it's like to lose someone, but he never makes that sacrifice himself. And when he offers Bruce a truce, he says a truce, Bruce, and offers him the Joker card. And you'll know, of course you wouldn't notice this before, but earlier in Cyborg's vision, someone sees, you can see the one half of that Joker card floating around. So if the truce is broken, Joker says, okay, break the card, break it in half. So obviously something leads to the truce being broken. And what really cemented this whole scene for me is when Superman finally shows up. He finds the Nightmare Crew, and Joker just laughs. His laugh is perfect because it's just so creepy, and it has the right dissonance and everything. But his laugh is also perfect because this whole situation is just hilarious to him. He really does not know what to expect, and that's why he's laughing. That's why I find it so brilliant. But after Bruce wakes up from this nightmare, at the very end of the film, he meets Martian Manhunter for the first time, and I found it so beautiful and so funny at the same time. And funny because he's so accepting of Martian Manhunter. He's like, oh yeah, it's nice to meet you. Glad, I hope you can join us, and glad you're here. I'll look out for you. And everything. But what was beautiful about this moment was when Martian Manhunter says that her mother and father would be proud. And I thought that was great. like Ben Affleck's facial expression was just so like at peace in a way. It was just a great moment, a great way to end the film with Martian Manhunter and Bruce. And it was like I don't know if it was a sun, I think it was a sunrise, but just with the sun in the background, really wonderful. And again, I want more. That's what's gonna be the next video, is I'm gonna talk about what we can go forward with, how to restore the Snyderverse basically. Oh my gosh. Okay, I have been talking for a long time. Those are my thoughts on all like the major scenes of the movie and the characters and like what happened. Like, oh my, I actually been sitting here a while. Oh my gosh. But so let me know what you guys think of the movie down below. Did you love it like I did? Hopefully. Hopefully. Look out for my other videos. Like this video, and again, subscribe to the channel because I have so much more stuff coming that I'm so excited for, and I hope you're excited for it as well. And I'll see you guys later.